This is the Armstrong A WING 5.5. Beautiful bag, as we have noted. Wings over there. Okay. So, one issue that I noticed the first time I blew up my first A-wing, I blew it up, literally. And the reason is, when you first get it, the bladder may not be all the way up into the case. What I mean by that is the bladder may have actually fallen down and be resting somewhere inside, at least the top section of the bladder, actually back to where the filler valve is. And so what happens when you pump it up is the bladder tries to fill the space, and if the bladder gets stuck, squeezed between its own self and the walls here, it's still going to try to fill this space, but if it isn't with the bladder part that where it's supposed to, it'll fill it with whatever bladder part it can, path of least resistance, and so the bladder will blow out like blowing up some bubble gum, and eventually it will pop. So, how do we avoid that? Well, the best way is to what I call babysit the bladder. And so what I like to do is, what we're going to do is make sure that the bladder fills up this area first, okay? And if we can tell that it's not working, I'm going to have set up a little system here, sort of, where I can release the pressure quickly before the thing might pop. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put my foot halfway down the bladder, roughly, and I'm going to force it to fill that air quickly first. And if I notice suddenly that we have a problem, like there's extra space, I can pick my foot up and be a relief valve for the rest of the bladder. So I'm just going to start pumping. Okay, and you can see it's filling up that area nicely. Okay, there doesn't appear to be, what I'm looking for is areas that aren't really filling up with bladder. Okay, like if you saw like this, a big crumple right here, it's possible that the bladder is folded back, and so it's not able to fill that space with the right part of the bladder, and that's where you're going to find you have an issue. By stepping on this, I'm forcing the air to first go up in there, and I can see it, and if I notice a problem, take my foot off quickly, allows the valve, the air to escape lower into the lower section of the bladder. Now I can see that I'm not having a problem. So, but it might look a little like that, for instance, is what kind of stuff I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is just take this slow. I know I want to get out of the water, but I'm going to start pumping this thing up slowly. Once I have it sort of semi-firm, I'm going to feel around the edges, okay? And what I'm feeling for, again, is a void or a space that doesn't feel like it's filling up the outer part of the strut here. But since I can tell it is, and everything's good, I can now wail away on this thing and get my pressure up to whatever I want, and we will have no problems. Okay? That's really all that it is, it's just making sure that the bladder is actually filling the area with the bladder in its original shape, and it's not having to distort to try to fill that area. So, hopefully that helps.